and this is as per the agreements out there.
Stay with me, General Bhatia. I want to go across to our Foreign Affairs Head, Geeta Mohan. She's tracking what the External Affairs Ministry is doing. We know that the External Affairs Minister, his father, and he comes from a very strong pedigree of strategic affairs analyst and has been a long-time China hand himself. What is the External Affairs Ministry, Geeta, at this time making of the violence along the line of actual control?
Well, no official confirmation right now, Rahul, in terms of a statement coming out from the Ministry of External Affairs. But yes, External Affairs Minister Dr. Jaishankar was present in that meeting that Defense Minister Rajnath Singh held just a while ago, and they are looking at how to handle the situation at the border. We know that both sides have been emphasizing on talks, but this is a rather grim situation, and this comes just days ahead of the Russia, India, China foreign ministers level virtual meeting that is to take place on the 23rd of June. What we're being told is that most likely there is going to be a conversation between Dr. Jaishankar and Wang Yi on the standoff that has taken place and the casualties, which is the first since 1975, and in Ladakh sector first since 1962, Rahul.
General Bhatia, now two things can happen in the way that I see it from the outside. One, that the Chinese realize that things can soon get out of hand and they pull back and de-escalation is consequentially activated along the line of actual control, or it could lead to an escalatory spiral. What's your sense of, from what we know in the public domain, about which direction we're heading in?
Rahul, there are always chances of spiral. That is factored in when we do our briefings and planning, and we make sure that it doesn't actually spiral, but these things do have a chances of spiral, and I hope it doesn't happen. We have had talks which have been ongoing at the brigadier level, major level, even at lieutenant general level. Talks are on right now. So as long as the militaries are talking to each other, the diplomats are talking to each other, lines between Delhi and Beijing are open, lines between the border person meeting points are open, the flag meetings are going on. So I do feel that both sides will show maturity and handle it in a very mature manner and make sure that de-escalation does take place, and given some time, the status quo ante has to be maintained. So to that, there should be no doubt about it. Indian Army, like I said earlier...
General Bhatia, that you're saying that status quo ante should be maintained, but that's dependent on the enemy as well. If China decides that they're here and they want to escalate, as has been quite clearly seen through their adventurism, then the Indian army, then the onus cannot be on the Indian Army to de-escalate. If there is to be a de-escalation, that has to be agreed upon by both sides. The Chinese, if they say they want to de-escalate, they need to go back.
You're right. It has to be mutually acceptable. It has to be equitable. They cannot come in an area and say, now de-escalate. That is what I'm trying to say. They cannot change the status quo and then say de-escalate. Yes, de-escalate in a phased manner, possibly yes, but the ultimate solution lies in abiding by the treaties in place, abiding by the understanding in place, abiding by the protocols in place, and they serve their purpose. It's not they don't serve their purpose, they serve their purpose. And China has to realize that. China has to realize that it needs India now. India needs China, but China needs India more than India needs China. And China has to understand that the world is changing. There's a post-COVID world order, which is emerging world order, where India is going to be a global leader. China will need India more and more, and they cannot carry on the military coalition that they're doing all across the border. These present incursions, intrusions are different from the earlier ones. These are simultaneous in a number of places. These are more in depth, these are more in scope, they're more in frequency, more in intensity. So we have to sit down together and get on with that and say that, look, we have maintained peace and tranquility, we have maintained equilibrium, so let us maintain equilibrium right now. And that has to be understood, and that has to be for position of greater strength. India cannot just now say that, okay, this has happened, we've given, and wherever you are, you be there, wherever we are, we be there. That's not the solution. The territorial integrity, like I said, is non-negotiable, and it has to be. It can take time. It can take a month. It can take more than a month. It can take any amount of time. Time is not an issue. The point is that we should de-escalate in a phased manner and make sure what has happened last night is not repeated. And that the rules of engagement are very categorical, very clear. The Border Defense Cooperation Agreement 213 is categorical out there. The 96 Agreement of management of LAC categorical about there. So they need to abide it by. The rules of engagement need to abide it by, and abided by both India and China. India is disciplined. They are standing firm out there. There will be no blinking. There will be no brinkmanship on the Indian side. And China understands that. China has to understand. They have started the whole thing, and it is up to them now to go back.
No, but Gaurav Sawant, despite what the good general is saying, it's very clear that the Chinese this time are up to no good. They can say what they want, but ultimately it's your action on the ground which you have to be judged against. And as far as action is concerned, they haven't moved back from the Pangong sector where they've come up and are sitting till finger 4 when they should ordinarily not be crossing finger 8. And even in the Galwan Valley, as our maps show, they've come to a position where you patrol till, where both sides patrol till and are currently seeking to dominate that position. So our hope about their intent doesn't mirror their actual action on the ground.
Oh, absolutely, Rahul. They may have pulled back maybe 10 odd troops, but the majority remain deployed. And a bigger cause for concern, their artillery and their armor and their air force remain deployed in forward areas. They're not in their peacetime location. So very clearly, China is playing a game of brinkmanship. China is hoping that India, in its desperation, and usually in the past, India has been very desperate to kind of have peace with China, whatever the cost. But it's only now at Doklam that we've seen, and subsequently we see India's resolve. If China wants to stay there longer, India will stay there longer. Will India stay there longer in a defensive posture only to permit China to be at the newer places, whether it's at Finger 4 or at Galwan, or will India also occupy up to a claim line at the LAC or go beyond, so that then there's bargaining for the two sides to go back? That remains to be seen, because as General Bhatia will tell you, as we've always learnt about China, it only respects power and strength. If India remains strong, China will pull back. If India shows any weakness or desperation to hurriedly finish off the current standoff, we will see China extract its pound of flesh either here or elsewhere, and this salami slicing of our line of actual control will continue. In fact, India should gradually push for restoration of the LAC all the way back to the 1960s position. I know that's easier said than done, but that should be India's resolve.
Shiv Aroor's been working the phone line, speaking to people in the East.